So I want to talk about tenses. I've talked about tenses a lot on this channel. If you want more details about any of these tenses, or in particular in groups of 4, because that's often how I teach these tenses, please look at my other videos. I also look at these 4 all together, and these 4 cause some problems in my opinion. So please have a look at the other videos if you want to go into detail. But I wanted to say something about tenses in general, because I have a few new students at the moment, and a few of them are asking about tenses. Even though their tenses when they speak are pretty strong, I've noticed some mistakes on the exercises which I send. And very often these mistakes are actually unnecessary, because if you follow signal words, I really want to make this clear, signal words are the easiest way to use tenses effectively. And it's just one way. There is a more philosophical way of understanding the tenses, of understanding exactly when we use each tense, but signal words really help you understand the philosophy as well. So let's talk a little bit about signal words. Here are the 4 present tenses: do, is doing, have done, have been doing. I've got 4 past tenses of the same aspect: simple, continuous, perfect, perfect continuous. Same aspect here: future, simple, continuous, perfect, perfect continuous. And you can get all of the modal verbs in English doing the same thing: must do, must be doing, must have done, must have been doing, and might, may, would, could. And so you've got these 12 tenses, and then you've also got all the modal forms as well. So that's a lot of different tenses really when you think about it in English. So let's try and summarize how we use these tenses. First of all, present simple. Present simple is for things which happen every day, every week, every month. Yeah, it's not for things happening now, which is a signal word for present continuous. We use this continuous aspect when we are in the middle of something. So if we're in the middle of an action now, you need present continuous. If you are talking about something you were in the middle of doing, you need past continuous. So at the moment, you could change this for at that moment, meaning at that past moment, I was in the middle of writing an essay. I was in the middle of reading a book. Okay, so that would be past continuous, but I just wanted to show you that it is just past, the past form of present continuous, which is now or at the moment. Now, if we use do for every day or every week, or things which are fixed and happen regularly, we use past simple for just simple, finished actions in the past. And past simple is very important to make sure you understand how it differs from this one. These two really must be distinguished: past simple and present perfect. In fact, there are more mistakes with past simple and present perfect, like number 1 here, than any other tense mistake. I think it's probably more common than any other mistake in the tenses. So let's quickly look at that then. Did, and by the way, it's true for was doing this as well, but did is when we know when. Past simple is for when. So what do I mean by that? I mean that if we say last year, we do not use present perfect. That would be a mistake. We use past simple. I saw it last year. Maybe you're talking about a film, yeah, and you're saying I saw it last year. Not I have seen it last year. Now the same goes for other expressions like last week. It's also past simple. 3:30, also past simple because we know when. Last September, last summer, all of these will be past simple, because past simple if we say when. Okay, never use present perfect if you say when. Use present perfect if you say how long. Now I'm going to put these in both of these, because actually how long, it might be stative, in which case you say how long have you known him, Know is a stative verb. So how long have you known him? Or it might be have been doing, have been waiting, if it's a dynamic verb. So wait is a dynamic verb. How long have you been waiting? Okay. So how long, for, since. Now these words could be past simple if they're finished, but they're very often unfinished. For example, I'm married, I'm still married, and I have been married for 8 years. I'd have to say for, and it's for an unfinished period. However, if I were divorced, then I wouldn't use present perfect, because we're talking about finished things. I would use past simple. Even if I say for how long, I'd say I was married for 3 years or something like that, if I were divorced, but I'm not divorced. Okay, so there are differences between present perfect and past simple again. They really do mean different things. This is an unfinished period of time, and this is unfinished period of time as well. And this is a finished action. It's always finished. So if you say when, please use past simple, or maybe past continuous if you want to say that you were in the middle of an action. Then we'd use past continuous. So you might say, what about these two, Dave? What about had done and had been doing? Well, they're very common in reported speech. What does reported speech means? It just means he told me is reported speech. He told me, and here, I told him in number 4. I told him, now here is the mistake, I have been working. You need to move have been doing to had been doing in reported speech. So the only mistake here is with I told him I had been working here for, look, I've forgotten the for 10 years. I think in speech we very often leave out the for. But it's there, and it should be there. So I told him I had been working here for 10 years. That's when we use these two. But again, it's state verbs for had done, and it's dynamic verbs for had been doing. So exactly the same logic there for those two. Reported speech is very important if you want to use these two effectively. Remember it every time you say he told me, or I told him, or they told her. Doesn't matter, but when you're reporting speech, it's an excellent opportunity to use past perfect effectively. Okay, let's say one more thing about these two. Another common mistake. I am living here for 5 years. You're probably talking about an unfinished period, yeah, a period which is still true now, which continues into the present moment, and because of that, you need to say I have been living here. Live is a state verb. Live is a dynamic verb and a state verb. That's complicated though, but you can use it in either form, live, because it's a state verb and a dynamic verb. Same with work, but I prefer to use it dynamically whenever I can, and so I do. I have been living here for 5 years, and I told him I had been working here for 10 years. Okay, number 3. I never went to Greece. Now, when you use never, it's another sign, it's another signal word, really, for present perfect. Never, ever, already, yet, just. All of these words are actually referring to unfinished periods, and that's why we generally use them, not always, but most of the time, with these two. So here, I have never. And we don't say gone, usually. We actually use the word been. I have never been to Greece. And then that one's correct. I have never been to Greece. That's how we use present perfect. Okay, so please remember these signal words, which are also signal words for these two in reported speech. Notice that that's what I did. I put it into reported speech, and then I used one of the signal words. So all of these signal words for present perfect and present perfect continuous are signal words for past perfect too in reported speech. The last mistake here, number 5, is again these past and present tenses. Look at this. We have been driving for 30 minutes when we realised, past simple, that we had left past perfect, yeah, had left the map at home. Okay, notice that we are in past tenses here. And really, these are called narrative tenses. We use past tenses when we're telling a narrative, which it means a story. When we're telling stories, we use these past tenses to put everything in the right place. And these two are always before these two. When you say had done, you're saying it was before did. When you say had been doing, it means it happened before the did, before past simple. And so here, for 30 minutes, that's a clue. You've got a signal word coming in, giving you a clue. It's not have been driving. I imagine that the students looked at the signal word and thought, I know for is for present perfect tenses, I'll use a present perfect tense. Well, unfortunately not. It should be past perfect here because you're in a narrative. And what you're saying is that we realised we had left the map at home. Yeah, we realised is here. But when had you been driving for 30 minutes? You'd been driving for 30 minutes here. We had been driving for 30 minutes. So it can't be present perfect because it's not after a past simple. It must be past perfect continuous. It's before a past simple. And that's why it's had been driving and not have been driving. So really I'm focusing on present and past here. The future, all I'll say about the future is this one, I don't think we ever see it. I think it's so rare that you see that one that it's even not worth knowing about. I would perhaps even go that far, even though I quite like grammar and I like students to know as much as possible. However, you do see it with other modals. You don't see it very often with will, but you do see it with must, may, can't, could. So, I mean, you do need to know it, but it's very rare that you see it used with will. You would have to be talking about a period of time, about an action which will continually happen into the future for a well-known period of time. Something like, by the age of 75, I will have been sleeping for 3 years. Who knows? It's quite a strange sentence. It's not very common that you need to say that. So generally speaking, it's just these three. And they actually match these aspects very well. This is for finished stuff at certain future moments. This is for something which is in progress, in the middle of, in a future moment. And this is just general future. Okay, if you have any questions about the tenses which we've looked at today, please ask them under the video. And I'll do my best to answer them. And if any of this is unclear, please write it down, and I'll do my best to clarify any problems. Okay, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you all soon.